There is a specific feeling that comes after you have poured yourself into someone, and they did not notice. Not because they are cruel, not even because they do not care, but because somehow in this relationship, in most of your relationships, you are always the one who notices more, feels more, reaches more. You are the one who remembers what they said 3 weeks ago. You are the one who checks in when things go quiet. You are the one who reads the tone of a text message before you have even finished reading the words. And somewhere along the way, you started to wonder, is this just who I am? Is there something in me that keeps landing here? If that landed somewhere real in you, this video is for you. I want to say something before we go any further. The fact that you love deeply, the fact that you show up, that you think about others, that you carry people in a way most people do not even realize they need, that is not a flaw. It just does not always feel that way. Because when the love is not returned at the same depth, when the effort is not matched, when you are the one sending the second message, it starts to feel like evidence of something wrong with you. Like maybe you are too much, too needy, too intense, too easy to take for granted. But here is what I want you to sit with for a moment. You have not been loving wrong. You have been loving in a way that most people have not learned how to receive or reciprocate. And that is a completely different problem. There is something really important in understanding why this pattern keeps showing up in your life. Because it usually is not random. And it usually has nothing to do with your worth. Let me introduce you to someone. Her name is Lena. She's 27. From the outside, she is the friend everyone wants. The one who remembers your coffee order, who texts on bad days without being asked, who always knows what to say. But privately, Lena has a list. Not a real list, an internal one, a quiet accounting of all the times she showed up and nobody came looking for her. She does not talk about it. It feels ungrateful to mention. And besides, who would believe it? She seems fine. She always seems fine. What most people do not know about Lena is that she learned very early that love required effort. That connection had to be earned. That if you stopped being useful, being warm, being endlessly available, people drifted. Or worse, they left. So she stayed. She stayed warm. She stayed available. She stayed needed. And she became very, very good at loving people who needed just a little more than she could get back from them. What Lena is experiencing has a name in psychology, though the name matters less than the understanding. When we grow up in environments where love felt conditional, where affection came and went, where approval had to be worked for, we often develop what therapists call an anxious attachment pattern. We become hyper-aware of other people's emotions. We become skilled at sensing needs before they are expressed. We become, essentially, emotional first responders. And here is the part that never gets talked about enough. This hyper-awareness is a form of intelligence. It developed to protect you. As a child, reading the room was not a personality quirk. It was a survival skill. Knowing when someone was upset before they said so meant you could adjust, soften, soothe. It meant safety. The problem is not that you developed this skill. The problem is that you are still using it in relationships that do not require you to be in survival mode, and nobody taught you how to turn it off. So you keep reading, keep adjusting, keep reaching, and you keep ending up as the one who cares more. There's one more piece to this. People like Lena, people like you, often unconsciously gravitate toward a specific kind of person. Not because you are foolish, but because the emotionally unavailable person, the one who runs a little hot and cold, the one whose affection feels earned rather than given freely, that person feels familiar. Familiar is not the same as right, but it is comfortable in a way that consistent, steady love sometimes is not at first. Because consistent love does not activate that part of you that knows how to work for connection. It does not give you the problem to solve. And without the problem, sometimes it is hard to believe the love is real. Here is what I want to offer you. Not as a fix, but as a different way of seeing. You are not someone who loves too much. You are someone who loves with the full capacity of a heart that was trained to work hard for love. And that heart deserves to rest. It deserves to land somewhere that does not require it to sprint just to feel secure. The pattern is not proof that you choose badly, or that you are broken, or that this is simply your lot. The pattern is information. It is your nervous system pointing at something that still needs tending, and you can tend to it. Not by loving less, not by becoming someone colder or more guarded, but by slowly, gently learning to ask, do I feel safe here? Not just useful, not just needed, safe. There is a question I want you to sit with after this video, not to answer right now, just to carry. It is this. In the relationships where you give the most, what would happen if you gave a little less? If you waited a beat before reaching? If you let a silence stay silent for just a moment longer? Not as a test, not as a game, but as information. Because sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to create just enough space to see whether someone steps into it. And sometimes the answer will hurt. Sometimes the space will stay empty. But that answer is worth knowing. That answer is kinder than spending another year reaching towards someone who was never going to reach back. Lena, the one we talked about earlier, she is still learning this. She does not have it figured out. Some days she still catches herself composing the third message and stops. Puts the phone down. Breathes. That pause. That tiny, uncomfortable pause. That is where she is healing, not in grand revelations, not by suddenly becoming someone who loves differently overnight, but in the small, quiet moments where she chooses to stop translating her worth into effort. And if you are someone who has always cared more, who has always loved louder and reached further and stayed long after you should have, I want you to know something. That depth in you is real. It is not the problem. It has just been pointed for too long toward people and places that could not hold it. The work, the quiet, slow, gentle work, is learning to point it somewhere safer, starting with yourself. You started this video wondering if there is something wrong with you for always caring more. I hope you ended understanding that the caring itself was never the problem, only the direction it was flowing.